So there's a common classroom best practice called threshold. You meet your students at the door, you set expectations, tons of logic behind this, right? You set a tone of formality, it communicates that manners matter, and you can look every child in the eye and build rapport. Well, in 2008, on my very first day as a teacher, I lined up my 38 students outside my classroom, and I did just that. Good morning, I'm Mr. Lee, it's nice to meet you. Good morning, my name is Mr. Lee. What's your name? Good morning, I'm Mr. Lee. Go ahead and take a seat and get started on your work. As I continued this best practice, greeting every student in my line, I heard a huge commotion in my classroom behind me. I whipped my head around, only to see that the third young person that I had greeted and welcomed into my classroom had walked directly to our second floor window and jumped out of it. Yes, this was my very first day. Good afternoon, my name is Ken Lee, and somehow I'm the founding school leader of KIPP One Academy, a middle school on Chicago's west side. Although every teacher's first year is a challenge, mine was particularly tough. I taught at an alternative safety school on Chicago's south side. 38 5th through 8th graders that were expelled from their district schools were sentenced, and I use that word intentionally, to my self-contained classroom for violent-related offenses. 3.5 hours in the morning, a 15-minute lunch, 3.5 hours in the afternoon, and my planning period was after dismissal. The school has since been closed. The first half of the year was a true struggle. I went from 178 pounds to 138 pounds by October. There was a fight in my classroom nearly every day where armed sheriffs would barge into my room, restrain students, handcuff them, and remove them. Something clearly needed to change. So over that winter break, I really thought through, how do I create a safe and consistent space for my kids to be their best selves? How do I create a sense of belonging? And how do I create a community? The shift worked. By the end of the school year, all 38 students passed their end-of-year state exam in both math and reading when all of them had failed to do such in the previous year. This should have felt like a great accomplishment, but like many educators, I was left with that deep angst, unsure if they would continue that success when they left to go to their old schools the following year. We were just one classroom, and I had no control of what would happen to my kids next. In my next experience, I joined a 6th through 12 middle and high school. I was fortunate to be on an incredible 6th grade team with 3 other mission-driven and hardworking teachers. We were given incredible autonomy as we had a propensity to operationalize what we wanted to see from kids, and the 2 years were wildly successful. Students came behind each of those years, but we were able to accelerate them by a 3x magnitude, but then we had to hand them off to the next grade level, and the next, and the next. Still today, that school's SAT attainment is in the 15th percentile. So now, we were just one grade level, but with nowhere for our kids to go. This is where I found KIPP. KIPP is the nation's largest network of public charter schools. We have over 200 schools spanning over 30 states and Washington, D.C. There's a great deal that makes me feel proud of what we do, but none greater than the mantra, you will go to and through college. A promise that we make to every single family and every single student before they take a step into our buildings. For regions that don't have a KIPP high school like Chicago, we invest in KIPP through college counselors, short form KTC, starting in middle school. These counselors ensure that all of our students are matched into the best high school options available, stay with students quarterly throughout their high school experience, and then ensure that every senior applies to 9 colleges, 3 reach, 3 match, and 3 safety schools, including our growing list of 84 university partners that span from Duke, UPenn, UC Berkeley, Carleton, ASU, and so on, who have historically done a better job of getting minority first-generation students to graduate. And we're still not done. While in college, we continue to check in on you, ensure that you're going to class, are connected with your academic advisor, have a cohort that you belong to, and we show up to your graduation and celebration. All this because we made a promise, you will go to and through college. I don't think it's hard to understand from my experience to this point why the KIPP through college commitment was so intoxicating to me. This talk is entitled Insights from Chicago's Top Performing School, but before I pivot to that, let me first establish the premise for why college. A college degree is still the most reliable way we know to break the cycle of intergenerational poverty. With a 4-year college degree, over 40% of young people born into the U.S.'s lowest income quintile make the jump into the top 2 income quintiles. With only a high school diploma, just 14% do the same. According to the Pew Research Center, of the 2/3 of college-educated millennials who borrowed money to pay for their schooling, 86% say that their degrees have been worth it or expect that it will pay off for them in the future. What I appreciate most about KIPP is our transparent honesty. We are the first to share that not enough of our students are persisting through their placement high schools, and although our students are graduating from college 4 times the rate of their low-income peers, it's not happening within 5 years enough, and both are simply not good enough. My goal today is to press onto this audience, lead from a vision. There are assuredly technical best practices in our work, but let the alignment from your why dictate your actions. A few years ago, some smart high schools doing this work side by side with us made a shift in priorities. They realized that more students than ever were getting into college, but they weren't prepared to academically persist and graduate. Introspection led to the following conclusion: there was a false North Star. See, curriculum and instruction were too often geared toward passing a college entrance exam, which by definition is an admissions test, right? The ACT and SAT are not college persistence tests. They simply dictate whether you qualify to attend. However, the AP test, by definition, is a persistence test. Who would have thought? A high school course designed with the thinking, learning modalities, and outputs that is rewarded with college credit from the College Board was the answer to the through college question and not just to college. No kidding, right? Well, it wasn't so obvious then, but the data surely corroborates. A student that merely takes part in an AP course has a college persistence rate that mirrors the national graduation average. And students who do score 3, 4, or 5 on that end-of-year AP exam, their persistence matches their high-income peers. So AP for All became the new rallying cry. Criterion requirements were thrown out the window, and all students were enrolled into AP World History in 10th grade, US in 11th, Euro or Gov in 12th, Language Lit, Physics, Chem, Bio, and AP Calc AB or BC. Lots of letters there. So as we geared up to launch KIPP One Academy, before we had a name to go after KIPP, this was our challenge to answer. How do we ensure that all of our kids, and I mean all, are prepared to get 3, 4, or 5s when they leave us for high school? Let me add another wrinkle and put some faces to it. When students enter our academy in 5th grade, 8 of every 10 are performing in the bottom quartile of achievement. On a nationally normed assessment, this equates to reading and math proficiency in the middle of 2nd grade. So what this means is that within this classroom of 30 students, these 6 start with the requisite skills to be on pace to take advantage of the amazing high schools that our KTC team will place our students. This is why we decided on the name One. It is the belief in working as one versus isolated fractions. When each person on the team understands that their outcomes are a product of their grade level team and every grade level team before them, it changes what's possible for students' habits, belonging, and academics. So each member of our team has a deep resolve and ownership to accomplish their responsibility in our vision. Our 5th grade team is tasked with no matter where a kid starts, you must advance them as far forward on the learning continuum as possible. As a product of this goal, this team has structurally built into the schedule 150 opportunities to pull small groups each and every week of the school year. I'm going to say that again. They pull 150 small groups each and every week of the school year. Collaborating with the LEAP Foundation, and a quick plug, if you don't know their Chief of Staff, Amy Huang, make it your business to get to know her. Our kids follow a competency-based progression model according to learning profiles. They then hand off our kids to our 6th grade team, who have a very important benchmark. Every kid will be 7th grade ready by the end of 7th grade. Our 7th grade team then pushes them to the highest bar of achievement, and so when our kids go to 8th grade, they can learn within the AP lesson types, lecture, seminar, exploration, and so on, well before their first AP course in 10th grade. And here are the results. With the 8 of 10 kids performing in the bottom quartile when entering our school, 8 of 10 are performing on or above grade level by the end of the first year. By the end of the second year with us, they're performing in the top quintile nationally. Students are qualifying for summer programs for our city's top independent day schools at 8x the rate, and are qualifying for city, state, and national high school tuition scholarships at 6 to 10 times the rate than in any year past. And finally, earlier this year, based on our city school quality rating, we earned the highest numerical value of a 4.9 of 5 possible points, ranking us as the top performing school in Chicago, regardless of selectivity and zip code. When your 7th grade team thanks the 6th and 5th grade team for their contribution when kids get extraordinary results, think about that power, the power of leading and acting from a vision. I started with academics because acceptance into college has real criteria, and students need real content and thinking skills to transfer to new and varied learning contexts while they're there. So nothing else matters if you don't get that part right. But for those that are there, here's the less talked about second piece, which is how to make it stick. Each of these 3 young people will be their family's first generation to go to and graduate from college. They'll also be the first in their families to attend elite and private high schools. With this background, imposter syndrome is a real and palpable thing. There's a fear that causes disconnection. If you see me, you'll know me, and then you'll realize and discover that I'm not worthy to be here. If this isn't your background, we can all agree that the science has shown time and again that neurobiologically, we are wired to seek belonging, and connection gives meaning to our lives. So with our vision being what it is, it's impossible to not address this as well. And I want to stamp that it has truly been the difference maker. Every single message that we send kids throughout the day is that we are in this together, we are one band, one sound, and we are a team and a family. Every individual goal and measure that a student has is rolled up into collective homeroom and grade level displays and celebrations.
When I came to KIPP, I learned that it's okay for you to be independent and make sure your goals are on track, but also make sure your teammates' goals are on track. Because KIPP, I learned about unity, and I learned that the people in the class with me are going to be with me for the next 4 years, so I need to create bonds with them and relationships and be able to help them.
So we start as a team and a family, and then we extend that into in-school and after-school programming. Currently, we include 48 opportunities in our after-school extracurriculars each week. 97% of kids stay for at least 1 day, and 94.5% of our kids participate for 3 to 4 days. This is the effect of every kid has a talent outside of the classroom that they're developing in connection with the school and a best friend to do it with. Let me also add, there's no excuse. We do this on a $5,000 budget.
I'm a team and family with book club, dance, Girl Scouts, orchestra, newsletter, Girls on the Run, volleyball, SE prep, debate, service and leadership, and drama. I've been a team and family with the homerooms, the University of Iowa and Michigan, and LSU.
Here's the impact, because we can measure it. Our school has a 99.01 average daily attendance rate. In a city with a mobility rate of 11%, and a much higher attrition rate in underserved communities, we've lost a total of 5 students this year. That's an attrition rate of 1.6%. Kids run to school, and they're seen when they're there. But here's the most important why. Kenya here says that she wants to go to Philip Exeter, Harvard, Stanford Law, and then she wants to become the country's first Black female Chief Justice to serve on the Supreme Court. Here's what I know. When she goes off to each of those places, not only will she be academically prepared, but she will not hide on the fringes and hope that she's not seen, but instead she will look for team and family, she will look for community, and she will seek belonging to navigate each of those experiences. lead from a vision, and let that dictate your actions. Each and every action is aligned to our name. I want to close with 2 thoughts. Here's a preview with where we're going next. At KIPP Chicago, we've recently launched the Whole Child Fund, with Secretary Arne Duncan signing on as that fund's first champion. We are not sanctuaries, and schools like ours need to stop saying that they are. It's insulting to both families and communities. Jeffrey Canada is being awarded on Wednesday night with the Lifetime Achievement Award, and deservingly so. He got this right. What if we combat food insecurity for all of our students? What if we provide counseling for poverty, trauma, and poverty trauma? What if we connect the community to health services, secure housing, pathways to diplomas, English language acquisition, employment? I'm not a gambling man, that's a lie. But here's my wager. If we expand our locus of control to outside the school's walls, we will undoubtedly be closer to our name, to the 1.00 probability for our students. Lead from a vision. Lastly, I'm going to read this to not directly get overly emotional. I've lived on my own since age 16. Sadly, my parents passed in my first month of high school. At 14, I bounced between relatives, but that wasn't working for anyone. So as a sophomore, I rented a basement apartment from a struggling family that went to my aunt's church. I know what it feels like to wish anyone would sit in the same room as you and to hide that. To sneak peanut butter from the cupboard in the middle of the night, and to turn off the heat during winter breaks to not let on that you don't have anywhere to go when you're supposed to be at a relative's during vacation. However, I had a family who stepped up for me. This family taught me to trust again. This family gave me security. This family saw my hurt on the other side of the walls that I put up. And as I refused to not let others know, they refused to accept that. For everyone in this room that works in schools, funds schools, or enhances the schooling experience, please refuse to not let every moment, however small, mean everything to kids. Please refuse to let a kid think they can't do it. Please refuse to let their gaps keep them from achieving. Please refuse to let a student be unseen. Please refuse to let a student hide. Please refuse to not let every student find their belonging. You need to refuse. This work is deeply personal to me, and I refuse anything short of a vision because someone had a vision for me. Thank you very much.